So I think it's a tough act to follow. Thank you for the introduction, Brian. It's a tough act to follow after all these illustrious speakers, but also to be the speaker standing between the audience and meal offering and lunch is also really difficult, so I'll try to keep it brief. I feel that a lot of these speakers talked about their personal experiences with the Venerable Master, and I met the Venerable Master when I was very young. So I only have very limited visual memories of what happened, so I'm going to take my parents' word for granted. That they told me that after I met the Venerable Master when I was 3, I went home and decided to become vegetarian. So I said, what can I talk about then? Because I don't really have the same kinds of stories, and they recommended that I speak about what I learned and my experience growing up with DRBA, growing up as part of a member of the community, City of 10,000 Buddhas. So I went to school here, and CTTB is also home for me. My mom is a very active volunteer here. My dad is a monk here, and my brother went to K through 12 at IGDVS as well, and is actually a current student at Columbia. So we both live in Manhattan. I guess if I think about what I learned here, what I took away as a child here is really the foundational and developmental core values through the precepts, which really are guiding principles, but more importantly through practice, because I think that at that age you learn a lot from your environment. You're very impressionable. I was very impressionable and very precocious, and a lot of it is by osmosis. So it's really, I think, the community that helped me form what I call and reflect now as a young adult as my core values. But really, I think the true learning and the true maturity happens, as with anyone else, when we enter college. And so I'm also trying to think about, well, after I went to college, I asked a lot of questions. How can I tie it all together with what I sort of took for face value as a student here? So here's sort of my first attempt of hashing it out publicly. So I think one of the things I learned about from here, and marrying it with what I learned at Columbia also, because we had to, it's a part of our core curriculum to read all of the masterpieces in Western literature, if you will, is self-awareness. I think self-awareness I really took from religion and spirituality, but also community awareness. In the sense of community awareness, I think the Venerable Master taught, and is also a deep Confucian value, and is also something that I think we talk about and discuss about a lot in college, is sort of the individual, how do I be myself and unique, but also what does it mean for me to be a part of a larger community, not only my community at home, but also where I work, the world at large, where do I sit? So I think from college, after entering the real world, really what my generation and what we view when we go, after commencement for our first job is, we're told that we need to stay curious. We're told that we need to take risks, to take what life has to offer us, and to really seek opportunity, anything that can move us forward, And I think the famous quote, "Stay hungry, stay foolish," is sort of encompasses what us as graduate students graduating today and going to the real world sort of try to embody. But I think in addition to staying curious and trying to take risks, what I learned from my core values, tying it back to CTTB, is what Shifu really taught, which is to stay humble and to stay true to yourself as you stay hungry and foolish at the same time. So this is where I was also asked to talk a little bit about my generation, the millennial generation, which is a tough act. It's only 2012, but I'm going to do my best. I think